Java, I want you to find out everything you can about this Amber.
I know this much already. She's a mall rat. Like Ebony.
She what?
That's not strictly true. Okay, she was a mole rat. Once. She left them for this out-of-town nature lovers, the eco tribe. Seems like the ecos have been behind this from the start.
Welcome to Series 4, Episode 29 of Conversational Eagle Mountain, a podcast about the tribe. I'm your host, Lance, and joining the podcast panel today is Liz.
Hello.
Sabine.
Hi.
Tamsin.
Hello.
And a very warm welcome to our guest for the day, Bryant.
Hey.
With episode notes done by Matt and myself. So, as is tradition for all guest podcasters, we are going to start with our vital statistics as we find out the best and worst tribal bits that they like or don't like. So, Bri, to start things off, what's your best or worst tribe series?
I gotta say the best tribe series for me was the one that started it with me, started my love of the tribe, which was season 4. It was the first season I started watching, and it was just, I was late. I was a late bloomer at the time, getting into it, but seeing the series and kind of made me want to know more about what happened before. So series 4 has to be the best one for me.
And what's your worst tribe series?
Ugh. This is gonna be a hot take. I gotta say the worst one the one I didn't care for was kind of season 2. It just something about it just I didn't really care for as much. I like it in a way, but there's some parts to it where it's like, yeah, I could have did this a little better.
Interesting. Okay. And that leads us directly on to your best and worst characters.
It's a tie, and most people know why this is a tie for this one. My favorite character, aka my crush in the series, is Trudy, who's played by Antonia Preble. She was the first character I saw. She's my tribal crush. But I also like, I gotta think of his name because Ryan. There we go. Ryan was my other favorite character because
Yay.
he's like me. He was timid, but at the same time, get him angry and he's unstoppable when it gets down to it.
Mm-hmm. I love meeting more Ryan fans because Ryan's great.
Ryan was one of my favorite guy characters. He was the one I identified with the most. And with Trudy, she was the first character I saw when I was watching this series. And seeing what she went through before series 4 kind of made me resonate with her some. And at the same time, like I said, I had a crush on the actress and actually got an autographed picture of her for doing a dance to the Abba Messiah dance and having it filmed. So
That's cool.
Mm-hmm.
I actually got both of those pictures to this day.
Okay, yeah, an interesting topic. What's your best or worst tribal couples?
Who? Lex and anybody. Because
And I'm best or worst?
Yeah, which one?
the best out of Lex and Tarzan for the best because Tarzan brought out the best in Lex and vice versa. But worst is Lex and Sandra because this is season 1 Lex. Season 1 Lex just was toxic throughout the whole time. Like after he lost Zan, he had some growth a bit, but throughout season 1, all he once he got what he wanted, and he was just and I say this as nice as I can, he was a typical guy. Once he got what he wanted, it was nothing else to it. It was that they were just that toxic to each other.
That's a fair analysis.
I know people gonna say, well, why didn't you like Bray and Amber? They were in game from the beginning. I saw that in season one, and I could have easily did Trudy and Jay, which would be my second best couple. But I just like the dynamic between Lex and Tarzan once they got married, and you saw Tarzan bring the best out of Lex.
Yeah, another fun one. Do you have a favorite fan couple?
I would say I would say, and my some of my panelists understand why Sammy and Lottie. I know if they were a couple in the book, but I'ma say we did a thing where I played Sammy and another person played Lottie, and to me the way they would play, we played each other was perfect in a way. So Sammy and Lottie to me are my favorite fan couple, but second place goes to Celine and May because I actually like them together.
Okay, yeah, that leads us straight into your best or worst tribal storylines.
Hmm. Best travel storyline, definitely the Techno Invasion. I absolutely love how they played it off. How Ram was the one that got the power cut back on, and everybody was praising him for the most part until they took him down. And then that went into the same storyline with Mega and the Technos. But the worst, I have to say, to me, the worst was the whole them going to Eagle Mountain because at the time they had kind of came across the antidote in a way. So to me, that just something about that just didn't sound right. And I will say, second place as the worst one would be The Chosen, because but I will reason I say in second place is because that kind of had some build up to it. The Chosen didn't really take over until officially till the end part of season two, and around midway towards they ended around took over for the whole for about 2.5 seasons. Might as well say.
Yeah, I think that's something we all agreed on. The chosen storyline went on a bit too long. So yeah,
Yeah,
that's fair.
that was. I loved seeing the techno invasion and enjoyed that, but that chosen they could have did that a little better.
Yeah, your best tribal music?
In honor of my late mother, Lord rest her soul, and in honor of Raymond Thompson, I've been Messiah. Um, here's some backstory for y'all. Some know this, some don't. My mom was real sick, and at the time, I wanted to learn the Ave Messiah dance. So while my mom was alive, I practiced and practiced and practiced in front of her. My mom ended up going to the hospital, and I was not going to record myself doing the dance, but she encouraged me to do the dance. My sister recorded it. It's still on YouTube to this day. And when I talked to Raymond Thompson the day after my mom passed away, he told me that that would be my bond. That dance would be one of my bonds with my mom and me. And it meant so much for me, not only to hear him say that, 'cause he actually called me and talked to me over the phone. So it meant so much not only for him to hear him say that, but for him to talk to me. And that song, I to this day, I know the dance. Oh, I know that dance like at the drop of a hat to the point where I can do that dance in my sleep now. As far as worst tribe song, huh, you belong to me. To no, yeah, you belong to me. It just I liked it, but it just wasn't that good to me.
And to finish things off, do you have a best and worst tribe style?
Uh, Again, I'm kind of being kind of biased with this one. Trudy's tribe style in season four was to me the best. I love the purple hair. I love how she had the eco tribe symbol on her. I love her purple. It just her in general, her tribe style was to me perfect. And it's only in second place to Ebony's tribe style, because I absolutely loved her tribe style too. But the worst was Chloe's. Like watching her grow up, I get it, but it's like they stopped trying with Chloe. And second place at worst was Sandra, because Sandra was good in the early parts of season one. I loved her wild hair. I loved it, but it seemed like when she got married to Lex and was revealed that she was pregnant and everything, it kind of felt like her tribe style took a hit for the worse. But Chloe's was definitely worse in my opinion.
Very fair. Alright, cool. Yeah, thank you for that. So let's now jump into the episode proper. So, Series 4, Episode 29. The screenplay was done by David Fox. It was directed by Murray Keane. And as is tradition, if you wouldn't mind, Bri, if you could read out the episode synopsis.
The Mallrats come under fire when Ram learns of their connection to Amber and Ved realizes he has been played by Chloe. Meanwhile, Ebony has an answer for Ram and Lex gives in to temptation.
Alright, so thinking fast on his feet, Jay does some major firefighting following Amber's escape, protecting the Mallrats by implicating the Ecos in the rebel broadcast. Later, finding Ebony packing to leave, she gives him one more chance to run away with her.
Why don't you come with me? We could start again somewhere.
No, I'm not running away again. It's like Amber said, the people have to know the truth.
Amber.
But instead, Jay convinces Ebony to stay and promises that they'll be together. They will fight this. So, panel, let's jump into our first topic of the day. What did you think of Jay's newfound drive to take down Ram and suddenly going all in with Ebony?
Me being who I am, I personally enjoyed it. It showed a side of Jay seeing that, okay, Ram is not really who he says he is. And I think Amber and the others kind of opened his eyes some because he honestly did not realize what was really going on, and he didn't realize how deep his brother Red was into the stuff that Ram was doing. So I kind of think it kind of opened his eyes a lot more and kind of brought out the, okay, I need to protect my brother the best way I can.
Interesting. This just always annoyed me because it took Amber to get Jay to see the light. Like, there were so many signs, so many red flags that what Ram was up to wasn't good. Yet it takes an accusation towards Amber and him feeling the need to turn that around to make, her tribe out as the bad guys and not her specifically.
Well, I mean, in a way, Ebony said it best. Amber can be really convincing, but I know how Ebony meant it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, yeah, Amber can be convincing, but I have to think that he was wondering about Ved also. And it's just like my sister would try to keep me out of trouble. He was trying to, with him having his eyes open, it's like, okay, I need to really figure out what's going on because my brother is kind of deep into this. I need to find a way I need to protect him, but I can't just leave. Do I need to do to protect the city? But I can't leave my brother in the harm of Ram, not know what he could be into.
I just want to pick up on the point where Ebony suggested that they leave together because she doesn't make that offer to many people. In fact, I only think previously she's made an offer like that to Bray and Alice.
Yeah. I do remember him making it to Bray, and Bray rejected her advances consistently. Even in a couple episodes earlier, Ebony tells Jay, hey, my room door will be open, and it's an offer I don't make to many people. So when Ebony makes that kind of an offer, it's kind of like, you either take it or you hope for the best.
Well, guys, we're gonna have to mark this in our calendar as a historical day. What have I been waiting for this whole season? An episode that makes me give a crap and want to watch what comes next. Tamsin, Tamsin, you have a new T-shirt to make because I officially love this episode. We finally get to add another episode to one that I didn't just like it, I didn't just tolerate it. I freaking love this episode. This episode, I personally feel, is very well directed, well written. There's something about the cinematography. The camera work was really great. The staging of where people are. There's even foreshadowing in here that I never noticed before. And make the T-shirt, Tamsin. So now there's two of them. Okay. Okay. And I
A
was
lot. It feels like we need to add this in a promo. This episode is approved by
Yeah,
Liz.
it is
right.
officially endorsed by Liz. I was like, this episode fools you into thinking that storytelling has been good all along. Right?
Okay, I'll
Seriously.
let you have that one.
This episode gaslights you into thinking this has been a great story the whole time. Okay, this scenes that we're talking about. I actually, oh no, I felt like you, Sabine, at first. All of a sudden, because of Amber, Jay is suddenly like, no, we got to take Ram down. We got to do this. But you know what? It actually works. It's not just, oh, it's Amber, and the narrative is always painting Amber as a superhero. It actually works because this is when I realized, and I don't know about you if you got it, Tamsin, Jay uses Ebony the whole relationship they actually
Yes,
have.
yes,
This is what
yes,
made
Ooh,
me realize it because, again,
ooh.
it's already been set up that Ebony is the one who was like, she first told Jay, Ram is never going to give you what you want. He's never going to see your dream, but I would try. We could take him down together. And Jay made it very clear that he was not risking his ambitions for her. Fair enough to him. He has a right to feel that way. But the minute like Amber comes into the picture and makes him see the truth, that's when he goes to Ebony and is like, we could do this, Ebony. We could be
yes,
together, but you have to stay so that we can take him down. Ebony was just a pawn in Jay's game, their whole
yes.
Hmm.
relationship.
Yes.
I think as well,
Ooh.
this adds further fuel to the fire that Amber and Jay were always endgame.
And I was like, I was duped so bad to think that
Yeah,
in the beginning, Jay was genuine about Ebony. But I was like, in that scene alone, when she's like, Ebony, because Ebony only splits town when she's like, I can't win anymore.
yeah,
I've
yeah,
lost all ground. I have no bridges. I gotta get out of here. That's what she does. Okay. And then maybe she'll make an offer to someone she cares about, come with me.
yeah,
So like it's previously stated, she made it to Bray. Let's get out of here. The chosen, it's cooked. We gotta go. We gotta go.
Right.
Right.
Same with
And
Alice.
he did the same she did the same thing with Alice. Alice is like, we gotta save people. And Ebony's like, there ain't no saving anybody. We gotta go.
yeah.
Let's
And I
go.
think the interesting
Right.
thing with the offer to Alice is that's the first time that Ebony's ever offered for someone to come with her, run away with me, that she wasn't interested in having sex with.
Yeah, it was a total
Yeah.
Yes.
platonic girlhood,
Yeah,
let's go, and so she makes the same thing to Jay. I'm leaving. The city's cooked. I cannot take Ram. Amber couldn't take Ram. It's
yeah,
over. You can run away with me. You're welcome to join me on this crusade. And that's when all of a sudden he's like, nah, nah, nah. We got to take him down. You were right. He's never going to see my dreams. And she's
yeah,
like, oh, Amber, interesting. And, and it's like she almost gets it. Because she wants to believe he wants her. I wanted to believe he wanted her and that he genuinely cared for her. But it was just a way he was like, no, you need to stay. And I need you to do this. And I was like, oh my gosh, he's using her.
He
He
is,
really
yeah.
never, I was
Yeah.
like,
Yes.
oh my goodness, and it continues and it makes their entire relationship and his flip on her make so much sense now. Where before it felt like out of the blue, like, what the frick, Jay? What? And it's like, no, it wasn't out of the blue. It was always going to happen because she was just a means to an end. And I even like the foreshadowing of Ebony saying, like, he's still in the room and he's flipping out because I rejected him and all. And sorry. Anyway, I just was like, what a freaking revelation. This is a good episode. I really like that scene and how much that says about stuff that I just thought was bad writing for a really, really long time. You know what I mean? And now I'm like, nah, that was just consistent for who he is. This was not a love match. This was convenient for Jay. And it makes his personality makes so much sense for me now in the whole context. And ah,
no, it's really interesting because this is his mask off moment, isn't it?
Yep.
I love this first scene. I didn't enjoy the rest of the episode as much as you, but this first scene, yeah, I loved it. I love the whole Jay and Ebony scenes.
Can I just say, obviously, we have two super fans of Trudy on the show at the moment. And was anybody else disappointed? Because we had essentially a scene with Amber leaving last week. Not leaving, but we had that big sort of scene where they're trying to track her down and then she's gone and she kind of has that farewell to Jay on the DVD, whatever we're going to call it. But there was nothing for Trudy. She was
Of course, there wasn't. They don't care about her.
You're
She's just
surprised.
I was mad. I admit, I was like, when I first saw that, the first time I saw that episode, I'm like, hold up. Why y'all gave Amber this big farewell on the CD? Y'all could not do the same for Trudy, or at least have her say goodbye to the rest of the Mallrats.
Yeah.
And everything. Why y'all gotta do my girl like that? Why y'all have to? Why y'all got to do my girl like that?
simple. They don't want her to have nice things, including a goodbye.
Right, and that's what hurt the most. It's like y'all could not give her a goodbye for a brief second when her and Amber went to go back to the Eco Tribe. Come on.
Yeah, they could have at least done something with her and Mouse, at the very least.
I think it
Yeah.
comes back to though something I think Liz might have pointed that out, but you might have pointed it out, Sabine. That the problem is that Amber and Trudy are now a package, with Trudy essentially being tacked on to Amber. So of course they weren't going to do that. It's really disappointing, but she's just Amber's cheerleader, isn't she? I think you said it, Liz.
Yeah, her presence in the mall was dependent entirely on Amber. Trudy was never treated as a person who was there personally for her own volition, her own reasons. She's only at the mall because Amber was kidnapped. She only stays at the mall because Amber wants to help, on and on and on. And of course, she only leaves the mall because Amber's leaving too. She's not treated as a person who's like, I want to go back because I have a kid. I have a life there. I'm choosing to go. She's never treated like she mattered. She's just an appendage of Amber's. So if Amber's leaving, it's a given. Of course, Trudy left.
She's like Robin to her Batman.
Like Robin's given a personality. Robin's given autonomy. Robin's given his own story arc. Trudy from now on is just a sidekick to Amber and facilitates Amber's storylines.
And that hurts me the most because up until that season, Trudy was more of a main character.
Yeah.
I mean, she was the Supreme Mother, and she was the Supreme Mother in season 3. She had a bigger storyline being brainwashed into being in the Chosen in season 2, and in season 1 having the baby and having postpartum depression and being protective of Brady and everything. But it seemed like season 4 is like, okay, once Amber had the baby, she was pretty much the babysitter, for lack of a better term. She was the babysitter.
I mean, to be fair, without Trudy, Bray would never have bothered to find them all, would he? So we wouldn't have Amber if Trudy hadn't existed.
Right.
I think it's because Trudy has had such big storylines. They just did not know how to kind of pivot her for season 4. Like personally, I just didn't think they knew how to give her a big story.
Yeah, Trudy was from the start. Trudy has been painted as a tragic damsel from season 1. That's what Trudy was. She was a tragic beauty. Everything about her story was tragic. She's this young girl who gets pregnant at the end of the world. The father's a thug. She's desperate for anybody and anything to cling on to, a place to belong. Everything about Trudy is tragic. She's that character. She's that trope. And everything that, to the slide into the Chosen and everything, they didn't know how to write Trudy as anything else after she comes out of that. They didn't know how to reinvent what Trudy is in the same way that they didn't explore the other facets of Celine. Once she got over the most tragic aspects of her character, they were like, but how do you play up the other parts that were already there? They didn't really know what to do with Celine sometimes. And Trudy gets that treatment too.
Yeah, see what makes it so bad, and you brought up Celine, it kind of was the opposite, where they knew how to play Celine, because once Celine lost the baby, once she lost Ryan, and came back during the Chosen Invasion, Celine became the pseudo leader of the Mallrats, and had a was able to do a lot more, even with pride on her and having to take care of Mouse and Sammy, and for lack of a better person, Patch and everything, and was one of the only up to now the only other female to actually stand up to Ebony. Up to then, you only saw one person stand up to Ebony, and that was Amber.
I don't know if that's fair.
Hmm.
I think there are plenty of characters, female characters, who stood up to Ebony.
Danny at least tried.
Yeah,
Even Trudy went off on her.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I think every
Yeah.
girl,
yeah.
there's plenty of women who've had the chance to be like, you know what, Ebony, you ain't.
I think one of the reasons Trudy was able to have a bigger storyline in season 2, though, was because we didn't have Amber at all.
Ooh, that's a good point.
Mm.
That's a good point. That's a real good point.
I wonder if they would have focused that much on her.
And I honestly believe the only reason Celine was given anything to do in season 4 is because they didn't have anyone else to play the role as the great white
Mhm.
light female in the mall. Because as soon as they didn't need her anymore, they cast her off.
Yeah.
And they were like,
True.
oh, we'll make you a tragic character again. You know what I mean? So it wasn't based on Celine, who she actually was and how she would do these things. It was, we need you to do this. We don't have Alice. We don't have Amber. We don't have Trudy. We don't even have Ellie. You know what I mean? It's Celine's role now until until we get Amber back, and she doesn't have it anymore.
You even
Right,
see that
and
a bit in season 4, the episodes we've seen so far, because Celine was quite strong in the beginning, then Amber came back and was back in the mall, and then Celine kind of faded off and was just focused on Amber and Pride and their relationship, so her leadership, her role as the leader in the mall kind of took a back seat. So even
she's
then you see
completely
it.
sidelined by the narrative, by the other characters.
Yeah.
Trudy's literally the only person who seeks out Celine's actual opinion and how she's feeling about anything.
Yeah.
You know, because Amber's back. And so it's like her role as a leader gets completely diminished for that brief time Amber's in the mall.
Yeah.
right.
And the moment Amber's gone again, the moment they suddenly need someone to be the leader for the mole rats, they suddenly have Celine again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That part.
But you also have to look at it from the other side. If, for example, Celine hadn't been there and it was Trudy was still in the mall, they probably would have made her the drunk and addicted to reality space. You know what I mean? They would have
Exactly.
forced that. So
Yeah.
in a way, it's kind of a good thing.
I think I should be grateful.
In a little way, yeah.
They're just handing out roles to anybody. Like, look, this is who we need. We needed someone to be tragic, so they gave it to Ellie. You know, they just were assigning roles.
Yeah, I don't put it past those writers to have done that to Trudy. That would have ruined it. So yeah.
And I mean, if that's the case, they were doing the same to Chloe and Patsy. Because think about it, they gave Chloe, when Patsy was gone, they gave Chloe you're gonna be the grumpy the rebel teenager who falls in love with the enemy. Pretty much the Romeo and Juliet concept in a way. And it's like each of them, but they definitely could have did Trudy and Celine better, and definitely could have did Chloe a little better than what they did.
In the aftermath of events, Patch reflects on the danger that the rebels are now in.
Maybe you should split too, Patch, if you're so worried.
I didn't say I was worried.
Hey, Dee's right, Patch. You risked your neck to come help us. Now, if you wanted to leave, no one would blame you. But things could turn pretty nasty around here.
But instead, he decides to take Dee up on her offer to join the Morats, effectively abandoning the two other members of his original tribe. So yeah, panel, what did you make of Patch's decision to remain in the mall, barely a Morat D offering him a place, and leaving his tribe, called the Wrecking Crew, to fend for themselves?
I have so many questions about this.
Yeah.
So firstly, when did Dee become a mole rat? How was she able just to say, yeah, you can come and live with us now?
Thank you.
When?
We've already established they're not a tribe anymore. They're a drop-in refuge. If you find your way inside this building and stay for a couple nights, you are now an official squatter, and you can stay forever.
Right.
Dee was granted the same things that Ellie was. You enter a mall, you say, well, I came here with this and this person, so I guess I'm a mole rat now.
No, that's different. Those guys were still voted in. It doesn't compare.
Was there a vote on Ellie?
Yeah,
there was a vote on Alice and Ellie. Yes.
Yeah, they were both voted in season 2. I want to say episode. Correct me if I'm wrong because I'm not sure, but it was like in the early episodes. they were both voted in because Ty-San mentions that that she already considered both Alice and Ellie as Mallrat.
Who was it then? There was someone else who wasn't actually voted in.
You're thinking of Danny.
Or KC. He was just Lex just said, yeah,
No.
he's in.
But they still
Ebony
voted.
for
Like
that.
Lex was like, I think he should stay, but they still officially voted KC.
Yeah.
Or Ebony. So I definitely agree. Who made D a Mallrat, but I always thought that he stayed with the Mallrat. That Pat stayed with the Mallrat long enough to find his brother, because I think he mentions that his brother was taken by the Chosen, by the Technos.
Yeah, his brothers. Yeah, they were. They were.
So I always thought he stayed as a Mallrat until the Technos were defeated.
I would have. That's my really only massive, like, if there's a criticism of this episode that I genuinely actually really enjoyed and was like, "Ooh, I'm interested to see what happens next," and I got to get a T-shirt for this one. That was my only real criticism, is that there's no exploration as to why Patch is so quick to be like, absolutely, I'd love to stay here with you guys, especially when it was really well established in the previous episode. Patch wasn't there for the sake of the mall rats. He had his own agenda, his own motives. And obviously, we can speculate that his own motives are part of why he accepted Dee's invitation, but they don't explore it. They don't explore any sense of obligation to his past tribe. And the fact that he's so comfortable just leaving these other two people on their own.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, so did you not like them that much? Were your brothers the only real connection you felt to your old tribe? Like, there's just nothing there. The minute Dee's like, hey, you should stay with us, he doesn't even take a moment to think about it. You could speculate it's because he finds Dee attractive. It could be just because he's like, oh, these guys are getting something done. I feel like I could be useful here and I could get but they don't do anything with it. And so it just feels pretty jarring that this guy who the episode previous really felt lived in, had a
Yeah.
history, had a life, and is just suddenly like, poof, that life doesn't matter. He's going to stay here now, and we're not going to be given a genuine reason as to why he's so eager. He doesn't even. I mean, granted, at least he went back to his other tribe, I guess, to say goodbye. But it's like, did they mean nothing to you? That used to be a big deal to decide to leave your tribe behind and start over somewhere. You know what I mean? Like, that could be a storyline that could take episodes for someone to make such a decision. And no, he was just like, really? Sweet. Done. And it's like, why though? Like, what happened?
And I mean, he could have easily brought the other two members of the wrecking crew
Exactly.
into the Mallrats. He could have said, well, hey, y'all may have some skills that could be of use. How about let me get them, and that way we'll have a lot more help to fight off the Techno. But instead,
Exactly.
we just get, oh, he abandoned his tribe and doesn't, and we pretty much know, okay, he's only there for the most part. He still want to find his brother, but outside of that, that's all he's there for, other than to be the pseudo Jack in the scenario.
Believe it or not, they actually did it better with Gel, because at least her tribe had basically been decimated. She didn't know where her tribe was. You get the sense that Gel's at least a little delusional. She's on her own. She doesn't have anybody. She talks about how great the modes were, but we never see them. There's no place that they exist anymore. And so it's like, it makes sense that she latches on to, Jack and is willing to join the Mallrats and just anybody who will take care of her, but with Patch, it's like, your tribe still exists. You still have a whole sector. Like, dude, like, why did you just leave them behind without an explanation?
And we see them in the background, don't we? Because it's those two children.
That's what I'm saying.
He's like Mace's age, and he's just like, Mace, if Eric came and believed, like, he's a child.
That's what made it worse. I felt so sad for them. These two childs just left on their own. I was like, wow, Patch.
I'm like, why don't they get taken? You would have been better off to just say his whole tribe had been taken.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, that would make way more sense.
So callous.
He was like, bye, kids. You're not my brothers.
Not my siblings, not my issue.
As my sister would say, not my circus, not my monkeys.
Right. And actually, now, I don't want to add dark attributes to Patch because I'm still just getting to know him, but I would think it would be interesting if Patch, the whole tribe of the Wrecking Crew, were very young people, and he was the oldest one taking care of them, you know, and like they were all his brother's ages. And with his brothers gone, there is just a deep desire to not have to take care of all these stray children anymore and be like, look, my brothers are gone. I was only doing this because I felt obligated to take care of my brothers. These kids, there are no familiar bonds. You guys are going to have to find another babysitter. I'm out of here. I just, I'm just like that's an interesting dark shade to Patch, but a very human one. Like that's
Right.
a lot of obligation to take on. A bunch of little kids, and you're just like, I'm getting a pass by a pretty girl to not have to deal with that anymore. I'm out. See you guys. Good luck.
You know what? Like Deuces, I'm gonna go with them. They got electricity, they got running water for the most part, and there's a pretty girl waiting for me. Yeah, I'm gonna go with the pretty ladies.
I'm just gonna
like,
also say time of death for the Wrecking Crew. R.I.P. to those two kids.
yeah.
Oh, they're so dead. They're so dead.
And what hurt me the most, we did not even get a backstory for the Wrecking Crew outside of what sector they were in, and that one of the members was Patch's little brother. That's all we know, other than that's all we pretty much know about them. We really didn't get a pre-tribe about the Wrecking Crew. None of that.
Actually, I think it's funny when Dee goes, I've never heard of the Wrecking Crew. And I was like, that's because they were just invented, kiddo. Don't you know? Every tribe is just invented when they suddenly need one. We hadn't heard of the modes until the Chosen fell. Modes never existed, but suddenly there y'all were.
Yeah.
I liked his Patch's line. They were so good. They were so big. Sorry, they were really big in Sector 8. I was like, okay. Never heard of you.
Is that what you told the children, Pat? Aw, make them feel good about themselves. We're important, you guys.
Oh God.
Because do we honestly believe that the Wrecking Crew, as Liz said, existed during the Chosen? No.
Nah.
Well, I mean, the only had what was it? The Roosters were invented in season 1, and we didn't hear nothing about them after season 1. There was a few tribes that were mentioned like season 1 that we didn't hear about, and afterwards, the only other tribe that I know we heard the most about was Tribe Circuit, and then even then, after season 2, they disappeared.
Yeah, but there might be a reason for that because of the virus. So the Roosters have been wiped out by the virus.
They were allowed to get away with tribes coming and going in the earlier seasons because they were really in an ever-changing world, But it becomes this habitual thing that after a while, tribes show up and they behave as though they've always been established. And it's like, you don't have to do that. The world's always changing. Tribes fall apart, they assemble. You can easily be like, oh, this tribe formed after the virus, or this tribe formed after the Chosen fell, or on and on. Stop pretending they've always existed when they clearly didn't.
Yeah, because let's be honest, tribes are incredibly volatile, and their friendships groups change all the time. So yeah,
it's okay to just be like the mall rats have almost disassembled themselves. Because circumstance changed, the virus had come back. Lex and Zandra were gonna leave once they got the Eagle Mountain. They were all talking about just going their separate ways. It happens, We don't really need each other for survival anymore. We've made friends within this group. We'd like to go our separate ways. So I think it would have worked better if they'd been willing to just acknowledge that tribes come and go. You know what I mean? And just say that, like.
Hey, Dow and Trudy both left the Mallrats in season 1 and left Trudy's baby no less.
Exactly. Ryan and Celine left. And when they'd come back, they'd be like, can we still be a part of the tribe? Acknowledging that they were leaving it. They were going to start something new. And I just think it wouldn't be such a joke when a new tribe pops up if they acknowledge that it's in the course of the world changing and these kids growing up and friendships coming and going and on and on.
And I mean, it seems like it is now, and my father passed away this year, so like a lot of people would think your sister not is probably really nothing there for her other than you and everything. But in the end of the day, like I said, people come and go. The world is always changing. If a family member dies, some people leave their hometown just to explore. Others stay to be with their family. Like me and my sister, we don't live far from each other, but we always talk to each other and everything. And that's how the world is now. And they could have did it exactly like that.
Why is he staring at you?
I don't know. I guess he likes me.
Sam is just nervous, that's all. He doesn't speak much. Must have been through some really bad experiences.
Well, he's gonna go through a few more before I'm through. You hiding something from me?
No, ma'am.
Better not. Any of you, or you'll regret it.
When Java comes to investigate the Morats' involvement, Sammy gets spooked by the poster and almost gives the game away, but the Morats narrowly manage to get away with it. So panel, what did you think about the Techno's visit to the mall and how it was handled?
I gotta give a shout out to my boy Sammy. He was quiet the whole time. You could see in his eyes he was petrified of after from what he saw in the last episode. And he could have easily been the type to say, "I'm gonna just blurt out everything," but he kept quiet the whole time and handled it like a champ. Sammy has my love for life for that, just for that alone. And I mean, they handled it to me well. They did it as Sammy was petrified. Mouse, they had hostage for a little bit, and Patch had to get the idea. It took Patch two people to tell him to cover the dang on sign. I really enjoyed that part.
I agree. I think Lucas deserves his flowers. This was incredibly well acted from his part. That's why Sammy doesn't bother me in season 4 as much as he does in season 5. But then again, the wheels came off in season 5, so everyone turned it up to 11 in season 5. But there was actual subtlety to Sammy as a character in season 4, and Lucas really showed his chops in this scene. I believed wholeheartedly this was a traumatized kid. I think this is one of those scenes that is really great on paper, but the set design and the logistics sometimes make it seem sillier than it should be. Do
Yeah.
you guys remember that scene? I think it was season 1. There's a whole, it's a small scene, but we talked about it where Lex and it's when Lex and Casey admit to each other they can't read because they can't figure out what's in a can of food. And it's not a bad scene, but we all joked about the fact that they're hiding the picture that's clearly on the can of what's in it. And we were like, this is a good scene, but it needed to be staged better because even if you can't read, you could see the picture of what's on the can and know what the food is. I think this is one of those scenes that falls in line with that. On paper, this is a brilliant scene. Well, okay, maybe I'm gushing a bit because I'm excited to find an episode I like, but I think the staging of this, the
Yeah.
dialogue is really great. The acting is great. But then when you think about the fact that none of the technos see this very obvious sign on the wall that Sammy is he's setting on fire with his eyes. And the whole you notice this kid staring at something and you never bother to see what he's staring at until Patch has walked in front of it and you assume that's who he was. You didn't see Patch walk over there and you're gonna all of a sudden act like you think that's who he was staring at the whole time. The technos behind Sammy are deliberately looking away. Right? And you can still see the sign behind Patch. It's like on paper this is a great scene, but staging it doesn't work when they got on the set.
I was so mad at Patch. I admit, because, like I said, it took Sammy and Celine, a petrified kid, and Miles say the pseudo leader, to finally get Pat to realize, bro, you need that sign needs to be covered up or taken down or something because it could easily turn around and look and see what we're trying to do. It's like, Patch, come on. We had two people trying to tell you Why could you just stand there to begin with?
To be fair to Patch, he's not that familiar with these people. Sometimes reading, cues comes from knowing the people you're around.
Yeah, true.
And Patch has already been established as slightly socially awkward. He doesn't know Celine. He doesn't know she's trying to tell him something. It takes him a minute to catch up. And I do think in some ways it adds to the tension of the scene. Is Patch going to get what Celine is trying to tell him? Now, maybe if this was someone he knew their tells, he would have picked up on it faster. But he doesn't know Celine. He's literally just met her. He doesn't know what she's trying to tell him. He doesn't even realize she's trying to get his attention. So I think it works in that vein if you take into account, again, we don't always understand what someone's telling us if we don't know who they are. People we know, they can just blink their eyes a certain way and we're like, we know that's a sign for help or whatever. Time to leave the party or whatever. But a stranger, there's misinterpretations all the time. We're like, what did they mean when they looked at me that way? You know what I mean? So I think it does work in that context.
Definitely.
Can I just say, for me, this scene broke down because why are they even, like, so far, we've seen that the technos do not care about who they take, right? They'll just pull you in, take you off somewhere else. So why are they coming to the mall to do this investigation, to negotiate with them, when they already, okay, Jay tried to say it was the ecos, but come on, Ram and Java, would they really believe that, or would they want the mall rats gone as well? And for me, it just felt really hollow, because why are they even playing this game with them? Why didn't they just round them all up?
That is
See,
fair.
I think they're only
Absolutely.
playing. I
That's
think they're
fair.
only playing this game with mole rats to, sort of play make believe towards Jay, so Jay would still believe Ram's lies according to them.
But again, that's the inconsistency of the technos in general. And it's the
Yeah.
same problem that the Chosen fell into. The Chosen went from diabolically, they'd kill you if you didn't kneel fast enough. It made sense at first that they took over the mall and tried to win over the mall rats. But then eventually we're like, why do they give a crap about this mall? Why do they care about these remaining mall rat holdouts? They just should throw them in an enslavement camp and be done with it. And their mall rats are just the squatters live, you know what I mean? Like after a while, it stopped working. And I agree that that's the problem here with the technos. It doesn't make sense that they're doing this pantomime with this tribe that they clearly don't like, clearly suspect of trouble. There's really no point. They could disappear the mall rats and tell Jay a lie. You know what I mean? It doesn't make sense that they would do this. But, that's a common problem in the show with villains.
At the end of the day, why do they care so much about Jay? Hasn't he fulfilled his end of everything he was going to do?
Yeah, that's another one. Yeah.
That I don't understand.
So why are they desperate to appease him?
Like, you've already taken the city. Your pretty face did his job. He did the job of your PR. And you could easily replace him, especially when you have the inconsistency of claiming that you need Jay as a general to make sure things run smoothly, and then don't tell him basic details about how you're doing things so that he can. You know what I mean? You're not giving a very good reason as to why you're still buttering Jay up. There's things we can speculate. Obviously, we could, but the storyline itself is not telling us or explaining why.
Yeah, because I do have ideas on why they want to keep Jay around, but that's mainly because they actually want Fed around and they're afraid that if Jay leaves, Fed might go, and Fed was the only one, apparently, who was able to help Ram with his precious program.
And I mean, they could have easily they already had Ved. Ved knew more about the stuff that was going on than Jay did. And they could have easily got rid of Jay and kept Ved, and because Ved knew everything. Pretty much Ram praised Ved for everything he had did. Like you said, Jay was just a pretty face. And that's all they needed.
Yeah, for me it was just more, yes, they had Fed, but were they certain they were going to keep Fed if they harmed Jay?
Can I press the missed opportunity button?
Always.
Yes, please.
How fascinating would it have been if we built Jay up to be this character and then they'd done a suit to him, series 1? So he gets killed off, he gets disappeared now, and then we keep Ved, and he's the one who turns against Ram because he knows that he killed his brother.
Oh,
Yep.
Why would they waste such a pretty face? You know they were never wasting that pretty face.
I just
We all know.
turn them
Come
round.
on. You know there was they knew they struck gold when they found James with his face carved by angels.
mean,
They were
that's
not
true.
wasting that face. They were like, oh the couplings. Oh the couplings. We must keep him at all costs. You know they were never wasting.
It's like we don't have Dwayne anymore, so we need.
You got you. They weren't getting rid of him.
like you said, they weren't going to get rid of Jay. They weren't going to get rid of Jay that easily.
But Tamsin, to be fair, that would have been a very interesting storyline.
Thank you,
Yeah.
Liz. I appreciate that. Thank you. Thank you both. So what we're essentially saying is, at this point, they've all developed Series 8 Game of Thrones plot armor.
Ooh.
Yep.
Yeah.
There we go.
Yeah.
There we go. There it was. There it goes right there.
I mean, we already have the wasted potential of where Ved's story was gonna go before he and the actress who played Chloe had to leave the show. You know, so imagine if they had written like we already don't know what they had planned for Ved, you know, because it was cut short. But you know, it could have been very interesting because so far most of what they've done with Ved is very interesting, and we lose him just as he's starting to turn on Ram, just as he's starting to lose his faith in Ram because he has something personal on the line. So who knows what could have happened with Ved's story? It might have been a really good one. Might have been half slapdash together like a lot of them are, but it's lost potential because the actor was released, you know.
It might have been part of Mega's storyline.
I was just about to say I've interviewed him as well. It was going to be.
Yeah, with the exception of Slade, because they weren't going to add an extra brother. But yeah, I think it would have been a big part of Mega's storyline.
But yeah, speaking of Ved, let's jump into the Lovebirds.
I know what you did, Chloe. Getting the code out of me so your friends could hack into the system? I thought we were friends.
We are!
Then why?
I don't know anything about your stupid code. If you don't remember what we really did that night, then I guess you kind of enjoyed it after all.
But figuring out there's no other explanation, he continues to push her as she challenges him to tell Ram, pointing out that by giving her access, he's just as implicated as she is. So yeah, what do you make of Chloe's handling of Ved in this episode?
Oh God, teenage love. That's all I gotta say about that one.
This is the closest we've gotten to who Chloe has always been as a character in this entire season. This is the closest we've gotten to the Chloe that most of us knew and loved in this scene. And this is one of those scenes that gaslights you into thinking that the Chloe and Ved storyline has been well told thus far. This is one of those, it's a scene that makes you forget that their story has been very poorly done and doesn't make a ton of sense. And that we don't really, you know what I mean? Like in this scene alone, it engages your imagination. Let's say you hadn't seen anything else. You imagine that the relationship between these two has actually been something incredibly thought-provoking and interesting. It's very clever because it actually made me forget how badly their story has actually been done. And it was such a great, I really loved seeing a return to, hey, this is a Chloe I recognize. Somebody being able to show this kind of duality. She still really likes Ved. She wants him to leave the Technos, but she is not above using him to take down these bad guys for her family and play him like a fiddle while she's doing it. I'm like, that's a Chloe I recognize, right? That's a smart and clever, complicated Chloe.
Yes, I agree. And I gotta think she picked up on some. She's been watching Xandra and some of the other ones as they dealt with Lex. Just because you gotta think about Chloe was always clever, but with her dealing with the techno, this became a whole nother game with her. And then meeting somebody that actually liked her back, and it's like, okay, now it's really time to put to use what I've learned from everybody else over the years. So I actually like how they did. I definitely like how they did the whole Chloe and Ved dynamic. And I wish I could have seen what would have happened with both of them, because I would have loved to see the end game for them. But as we all know, sadly, that wasn't to happen.
I liked that moment that Ved realized that like even before he really he finds the code, you get the sense, again, Dan, he's doing a good job acting. He knows he already gave Chloe access to every techno facility, which again, stupid 14-year-old boy, what were you thinking? Why would she need that?
Mm-hmm.
Why would you want her to have it? But he already is aware of that he did that as a way to, I don't know, show his affection, show off, who knows what was going through his mind. Um, Maybe it was I'm that guy who can give you the keys to the city, baby. I
I
don't
think
know
he
what
was definitely trying to show off.
right, and in that moment when he realizes that techno codes were used to, get into the broadcast and all that stuff, he's realizing how much access he's already given Chloe. So he's sweating bullets before he even sees that it was his code that was actually used. And I'm also glad that Chloe didn't let him make her feel bad. I mean, it already annoyed me that in the last episode she felt bad for taking advantage of him, and was like apologizing and all that crap. So I like that this was a return to form for Chloe, who was like, "You're not going to make me feel bad that I used your code." Like, I actually enjoyed that. Now, maybe she's just playing a cover because she doesn't want him to know that it was her family that was responsible for it, whatever. But I was glad that she wasn't taking any of that. He's like, "You betrayed me." It's like, dude, you laughed in her face when she thought she was pregnant with your child. I don't care what she does to you, okay? You
It's
deserve it.
about
You
damn
deserve
time.
all of it. Um and I was glad she wasn't taking any of that. And she's just like, "If it was me, you're going down with me, dude, because how else did I get it?" You just
That
admitted that I'm the
part
only
right
person you
there.
told this code to. What are you doing? I was like, well played.
I was just going to say, I thought it was really interesting as well when we have the scene where Ved gets his zapper taken off him. And if you compare it to the scene where Java was in the mall, at no point did she kind of try to use her zapper, which I think is really insightful into both of their personalities as well. Because without his zapper, Ved is essentially useless.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
He
Yeah.
can't defend himself.
It's the first thing he pulls out in any
Yeah.
sense when he needs to prove himself, anytime he's not winning an argument. But Java's like, "I don't even need that. I could literally just
Yeah.
kick your butt." You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And we already got proof that Bear is not a good hand-to-hand fighter, because at a couple episodes before this episode, him and Let's get into it, and let's just face it, Let's hands him his behind on a silver platter in front of everybody, no less.
Can I just get into the weeds on one thing? And Lance, feel free to edit this out. But I just wanted to say there was something that made me feel a bit uncomfortable, was when Chloe kind of admitted that she'd essayed Ved.
Yes.
Because she was kind of making it seem as if they slept together, but they probably didn't because he wasn't in that condition. But it's also played as a laugh that she did this. Whereas I think if you think about if we think about that scene with Lex and Gail when she's too drunk to consent and he puts that blanket over and it's the writers saying, "Oh, Lex, he's changed. He wouldn't have done this in the past. He's grown up a bit." And I just felt like, so it's okay for Chloe to take advantage of Ved. That's fine. We're going to play that for laughs. But the other way round, obviously. But it's bad. I don't know. Did anyone else feel that?
Yes.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
is, but I'm also just not surprised because of the way the show has handled SA in the
Mhm.
past. Now, we could
Mm.
blame it on the times and our general attitudes towards it, and that we still believed at the time that young men couldn't be SA'd because they always wanted anyway, blah, blah, blah.
Mm.
We could also just chalk it up to it has been badly handled. I mean, remember, Lex tried to SA Celine, and then she's supposed to
Mhm.
just accept him back into the mall like it's no
Yeah.
big deal because he's, her boyfriend's very dear friend, very close brother. Ryan goes from I want to kill him then to oh, I feel bad because who's going to take care of him? You know what I mean? And Celine's supposed to just live with that.
The Alexandra
Mm.
marriage. When he tried to
Right.
do that, and her suggestion was, why don't you get married?
So
Yeah.
they've always kind of handled it a little badly. So I'm
Mm.
really
Right.
not surprised that they would ignore the fact that Ved, an underage boy, could have been essayed by his girlfriend when he was in no right mind to consent because we just
Yeah.
didn't talk about that sort of thing at the time. And the show has always been a little wibbly wobbly on their morality of it.
Definitely.
I think it's just watching it with 2020 vision from now, and you think, wow, that's inappropriate.
You're not wrong, honestly. Because even seeing it now, like, yeah, this would not fly right. If had it been done today, this would not fly right.
So Ram and Ebony meet in reality space. Down on one knee, he then pushes her for an answer to his proposal, but she uses her past to turn him down, claiming to be promised to Bray. Ram, of course, reacts badly to this, and Ebony leaves him to lash out in reality space. Recovering from his outburst, Ebony later returns and tries to delete him while he's still within the program, but when he realizes somebody's trying to interfere, she flees. So yeah, panel, what did you make of Ram's reaction and the decision to stage it all within reality space?
I really liked it that how they did it because we already know from the past that in reality space, Ram can pretty much do whatever he wants and has full control over it. So I did like how they staged that part, but I did find it a little funny that Ebony tried to delete him while he was in reality space. And the fact that he was about ready to go off on whoever did it, not realizing that Ebony was the one was the culprit behind all of this. So I actually did enjoy that scene. It just his reaction was I want to say it's normal for to me normal for who we know Ram as. Ram always gets what he wants. Similar kind of how Lex is in a way. So for somebody to reject Ram and keep him from getting what he wants, I actually thought that his reaction to it was kind of okay, childish, but in a way, this is what Ram is. At this is who Ram is at this point.
I actually like the use of reality space to emphasize that whatever he feels for Ebony isn't real or genuine. He's not proposing because he's in love with her because his feelings are so deep. It's all falsified. It's all
Yeah.
contrivance. And so even the place he does it doesn't exist. It's not real. So I did like that. Um, and I like the mild foreshadowing when she and Jay are watching his tantrum and she's like, all this because I rejected him. I wish he would just stay there, forever. And then
Mhm.
and it's like, if you want to believe that it was always the plan, that that's what this was all about, Ram wanting to stay in reality space forever, this is a nice bit of hint to that's what he actually would want to do. That I like that. If that was meant to
Mhm.
be, it could have been just a happy accident, but I also like that. I like that it's Ebony's return to form to try to kill somebody who's in an
Mm-hmm.
obstacle in her life. I
Mhm.
was like, that's my girl. That's what we do, Ebony. Boss queens kill.
Welcome back.
Welcome back,
Mhm.
baby
Welcome
girl.
back.
That's right. You haven't tried to kill someone in a while. I've missed you. So I did like that, but it is comical. That she thinks she can. I mean, granted, kudos to her for just pulling pulling the trigger because that's the Ebony I know, right? Um, but it is again, it like visually looks silly when you see the laptop and like there's no precautions for anyone coming in this room that he claims no one's allowed to come in when he's in there. There's silliness in the fact that when Ebony was distressed in there, she was able to just take the mask off and leave,
Mhm.
which calls back to Siva, why didn't you do the same thing?
Right.
Why didn't you just take the freaking helmet off?
Is it because he told her to leave, though?
Yeah, but my
Maybe
point
that was
is,
what released her.
they haven't done a good job. If that's the case, if
Yeah.
you can only leave if he gives you express permission, how is he controlling that from the outside to let you out?
Mm.
He's still
Good
inside when
question.
you said it. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
sorry, that's just silly. But there are no, what do you think there are no cameras in that black room that you wouldn't be, there's no one guarding the door?
Yeah.
Ebony's able to just leave and come back in and mess around, and even though he has emphasized no one's allowed to come in there when he's in there, you don't have any cameras set up. You would have seen that this girl was trying to get rid of you.
I can imagine why you might not have cameras in there
Oh.
when he's in there.
So we're
So,
back to the camera situation, aren't we? We're back to cameras in people's bedrooms that nobody looks at. We're back to cameras where they probably should be that nobody looks at. It's the cameras.
And it also doesn't make sense to me that it doesn't make sense that this room would be this undefended given, and I don't know why this is something that's being streamed. That's the other thing I didn't understand. Why are Jay and Ebony able to continue watching Ram have a meltdown in reality space?
for our entertainment, but no, I'm just still completely in awe of the fact that at least someone had the brains to try and press delete to see if that would do the
Yeah. As soon as I saw that delete button being pressed, I'm like, okay, Ebony,
Ebony, you
that's one way
drag
to
the
do it.
file to the recycling
My
bin
brain-
and it's control delete, like shift delete. That's permanently gone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what we meant with
That's
deleted
funny.
honey. But
the screen doesn't work, like visually, the screen, like what she's seeing. And it's like, why? You don't even understand what that screen is, and you're just randomly tapping at buttons. I get it. Her desperation. She just wants him to be gone. But
she's desperate, and delete is a safe button to click.
I mean, he
It's
did
crazy
make
that
it
she
tough.
goes to that much effort when she could literally just strangle him in his chair.
She could
Right.
just
Right.
stab
Thank
him
you.
while he's in the
Don't
chair.
need any silly delete button. She could just strangle him, stab him, whatever.
Right, poison
Could have been like
him.
Ryan, broke the door. Could have been like Ryan, broke the door down and choked them. Like
Right.
like Ryan tried to choke the guardian. Could have just kicked the door down, choked them, and obviously we know that he couldn't take the headset off really unless he wanted it to. So that would have been interesting to see.
And then that little tiny tidbit of her claiming, "Yes, sorry, I can't see us. I'm promised to Bray." And
And that was
you have Bray somewhere.
Yeah, I can forgive it though. She is lying very quickly on the spot, even though you haven't thought of a story to give this guy. You've had ages to think of how you knew you were never gonna say yes to this guy. You knew that. You knew you were not gonna say yes to Ram. It wasn't a temptation for you, even though it's never explained why it's not a temptation for you. But it's been made clear to us, Ebony had no intentions of marrying this man. There's no tension around whether or not she'd say yes. That means she's had ages to figure out how to say goodbye, like say no to him. And then they treat it as though she has to come up with a reason on the spot, which doesn't feel very Ebony to me. But let's just say she only had this moment to come up with it. Like, this is the first time he's mentioned marriage. It only works in that context. If this was the first time he had proposed and she was like, heck no, but I got to find a reason without offending you, then her blabbing the name of someone that she knows the technos have somewhere and could get in trouble that Ram could lash out at, you could forgive it as she was just thinking on the spot. It doesn't work when you know that she's had ages to come up with a way to say no to this guy and has been trying to figure out ways to get out of it, like for days since he proposed. And she threw Bray under the bus with full knowledge that Bray has been captured by the technos and that Ram likely has access to him. And you're like, I know you don't hate Bray. I know that. You may have wanted him and Amber gone, but it wasn't because you hated Bray. He was just an obstacle in your way. You hate Amber, but you've never hated Bray. And I just don't think it works.
You hated that he
Yeah,
didn't want
I don't think it works as a, you've had so much time to come up with a way to say no to this guy, and you're acting like this is the first time you've actually thought of what you'll say to him. And Ebony, you are smarter than that. And so I didn't like it for that. I just like it diminishes her character's intelligence.
I do want to add, I see Ram's temper tantrum like a little kid who couldn't get what he wanted in a way. Because it was already mentioned that he wanted to complete the set. Ebony saying no to that kind of was like you telling a little kid, hey, you can't get this toy because I don't have the money, even though add on to what you already had. And them seeing a little kid get that same toy knowing that it would complete the collection in a way.
Oh yeah, total tantrum. And I also think the scene when Ebony and Jay are watching it, which again, I don't know why what he was doing in reality space is being broadcast in such a way that anybody can see it. It's never explained why Jay and Ebony have access to seeing how Ram is behaving after she's left. I'm like, why would you be able to pull that up on any computer? Like that's the one thing that should definitely be hidden. I don't understand why Ram would, it's a bit whatever. It doesn't matter. My point is I do like the scene because it reaffirms what I discovered that Jay is using Ebony because he's when she says all of this because I said no to him, and Jay goes, maybe you should have said yes. And she goes, you would have been able to live with that. And I think Jay makes a genuine Freudian slip when he says,
Yeah.
like, I really do think that he wouldn't have cared if Ebony had said yes, because he doesn't actually care about her. She's a means to an end. He's only playing this whole week.
Yeah.
Like,
It's like
all
it
of a
would have
sudden
been
he's talking about
impractical.
them being together because he now wants to take down Ram, and she will be a useful tool in doing that. So he's promising something to her that he knows she wants that he's never really gonna give her, And I think in that moment when he's like, you should have said yes to him, because it would have got him closer to what he now who wants, what his new goal is, which is to take down Ram. If Ram was now married to someone that Jay could work with and play with and, tantalize and tease with what she actually wants, it would have worked out better for him. And then, he catches himself and goes, oh no, I wouldn't have been able to live with that, but I'm like, I think that was a genuine slip of how he actually feels. And I'm like, all my illusions of this relationship have been destroyed.
Can I add something to that as well? Because I completely agree with you, Liz. And I wanted to add, I think Jay also reveals that he'd be a great politician because he's prepared to work with whoever he needs to get what he wants done. And he doesn't mind how dirty his hands get. It's all about him being on the winning side and getting what he wants at the time.
Like, I always believed that Jay was something of a sociopath, but I did give him credit for thinking his feelings for Ebony were somewhat genuine, as much as a sociopath can genuinely care about anybody. But now I'm like, nah, he never genuinely cared about her. Like, it really recontextualizes that entire relationship where I was like, I had one opinion of it. I thought, I do think he cared about her, but at the same time, he's a slave to his own, mental issues. But now I'm just like, nah, he never cared about Ebony at all.
Like watching this episode, hearing y'all opinions on it, I see that now. It's like Ebony was pretty much a means to an end.
I feel so sorry for Amber.
Yeah.
Don't get me started on that character assassination.
Oh, that reminds me. That reminds me of a question I was going to ask you guys, because I read the YouTube comments just to make sure we're not missing out on anything. And someone mistakenly said, "Oh, Ebony has mentioned Amber's husband," and that kind of got me thinking. Like, do you think they still would have gotten Amber together with Jay if she'd been married to Bray?
No.
Would they have changed her character in such a way that
that is a good question. Because they work so hard to try and make her, make it Trudy's fault that both Jay and Amber betray Trudy. Like, they do jumping jacks to make this somehow Trudy's fault. that these two people she trusted most in the world would do this to her and absolve them of any blame for what they did to her. This would have made her look really, really bad. But then again, they claim that they do claim
Yeah.
that she believes Bray's dead before she gets with Jay. So maybe it
So
still
she
would
would have been a widow.
right. Maybe it still would have worked and she still could have looked semi-innocent for hooking up with one of the people responsible. But again, it still doesn't work that Amber hooks up with a guy who's responsible for the death of the father of her child and her true love. But at least I think it still would have been in the same vein, even if they'd been married because he's supposed to be dead, I guess. She wouldn't look any better or worse than she already does, I guess.
Pretty much.
And he's still wearing the same uniform that he
Tamsin,
disappeared her
don't
husband
start
in.
that wormhole. We'll be here forever.
Yeah, we'll get to that.
I still don't get why anyone would be with Jay with that kind of hygiene.
That's right up there with techno signs on the forehead. We're not doing it today.
Yeah, not today.
I think that they still would have gotten together even if they were married.
Interesting. No, interesting.
They would have just gone down the widow route, wouldn't they? You know.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. She wouldn't look any better or worse.
Yeah, they would have
if they'd been married.
Yeah, I agree. We just missed out on a great tribe wedding, basically.
Right.
She's still a free agent at the end of the day, you know.
The closest person she was committed to in the ceremony was Bride, wasn't it?
And again,
yes.
we only have
Essentially.
we only have
We can't
Pride's word to
talk about
go
that.
on that because she never confirms. So we don't know. We don't know. She could have been like, "Here, you want this old bracelet, this old ring, you know, from the guy who I'm still pissed off at weeks later because someone lied to me. You can have this old trinket." And he's like, "We married now." She my wife.
That always threw me off.
She put a ring on it.
She was like, "Dude, it was a friendship ring. Take it easy." I was just getting rid of baggage because my heart was broken. I mean, remember when Sasha, her heartbreak with Sasha, she gave his present away too.
Mm-hmm.
Amber's a cleaning out her closet kind of gal. That's how she
copes.
I
Yeah,
don't
exactly.
want
That's how
this.
she
It
copes.
hurts.
It hurts too much. Yeah.
Hurts too much. She's like, "Happy birthday, Patsy."
All right. That brings us to our final thoughts of the episode.
Siva, what are you doing here?
That's what I was going to ask you. What are you doing in bed? Are you ill, baby?
Do you mind?
No, I don't mind.
Siva, wait, I can explain.
So, Lex is approached in the casino by Candy, who he'd previously flirted with. He is initially dismissive of her, but she pushes his buttons. He then takes her back to his hideout where they sleep together, only for Siva to suddenly walk in on them. Yeah, go ahead, panel.
Lex, you stupid idiot.
Am I the only one?
He'll never learn.
Am I the only one who loved Candy?
I did like Candy.
No, I love Candy as well. I thought she was great.
Her response to Siva.
Do you mind?
I would. Oh my God, Lex, come on. I was so irritated at this because I liked him with Siva just as much as I liked him with Tyson. I thought both ladies brought something out the best out of Lex. But for Lex to fall into temptation that quick, and you can say, oh, he was enjoying the fame and everything, but come on, Lex, you could have been more cautious than that, especially somebody who has a zapper and doesn't mind using it.
I mean, she has threatened him before. Let's be honest. You're right there.
Yeah. He's lucky she didn't.
That irritated me. I mean, all Siva would have had to do as soon as he walked in and saw Lex with Candy was use the zapper on Lex and Candy out of anger, and Lex would have been gone just like that. And there would have been no proof to it. But Lex could have did better. That irritated me so bad.
I like it for the entertainment value. I think Candy's fun. Nice one and done actress. She made the most out of her part. She ate it up, left no crumbs. I really enjoyed her. But at the end of the day, I don't really care that much. Now, it does move Siva's story a little forward, so it does have some utilization that I appreciate. But at the end of the day, I don't really care because they haven't done well with Lex's story and what's going on with him, like emotionally. It's not clear what he feels for Siva. Is she just a plaything? This would say that she is just a plaything, you know, because she's available to him. And when Lex genuinely cares about somebody, he only thinks to cheat if they're not physically available to him. You know what I mean? Like the only times he made a move to
Yeah.
be with someone else outside of Tysan was when he was literally physically separated from her, and he's like, "It's just physical. I have needs." That's not the issue with Siva. We know he had no problem cheating on Zandra because he didn't care that much about her. You know, so this insinuates he doesn't care about Siva. She's a means to an end. But because they haven't explored, why he is willing to sleep with one of the people who is responsible for his life, the love of his life being gone, how he's dealing with that, how he reasons it, it doesn't matter. Like, again, it only matters from Siva's point of view because it moves her story, her narrative, how she responds to this. But it does nothing for Lex. All of this, the gladiator stuff, it doesn't matter what's happening to Lex. I don't care what's happening to Lex. So for me it's empty entertainment, but it's empty at the end of the day.
Well, that's basically Lex, isn't it? In series 4, he is empty entertainment.
Now, I do want to ask a question to everybody. It did it creep anybody else out when Lex tried to put the moves on Chloe? That kind of just
Oh yeah, we were all,
taking that back.
yeah.
Oh
We were like,
yeah, that's
ew, gross.
That I like going remembering that scene. It's like, really, Lex, come on. See, Prima's as he said, you're like an uncle to me. That's like, oh no, no, Lex. You know that's
she's that little Chloe saw Ryan as basically her foster dad.
right.
That's like it's disturbing on so many levels.
Now, I just think Lex's storyline has been severely mishandled this season, and the only thing, all the stuff that happens to Lex does not facilitate him as a character. It simply facilitates the plot
Yeah,
line.
I agree.
And at the end of the day, you could argue that the only reason Lex does any of this is so the plot can happen.
Right.
It's not character motivated because he doesn't have a character. So none of the stuff that's happening to him really matters other than how is this going to affect the plot?
That's a good point.
Which is sad because Lex was one of the best characters written for the show and a favorite for many people. And even when he was at his worst, you found him compelling, you know?
Yes, even I have to admit, like again, I started watching the series watching the Tribe in series 5. So when I went back and saw season 1 Lex, he actually became one of my favorite characters in the long run. Yes, yes, my favorite guy character of all time will always be Ryan, but Lex, seeing his backstory and realizing this is why the way he is, and then seeing him grow as a person just compelled me to like him even more.
Yeah. And so, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
it must be shell shocking to think that you were introduced to Lex in such a late season when there's really not much to him. And then to go back and see that, oh, he actually once was written as like a really interesting person.
Yeah, I mean, it took it took me a while because, like I said, started with season 5 and then going back and seeing how these characters grew and progressed and everything. It At one point it even had me hating Trudy at one point. It's like come and then like at one point like I never thought I could hate Trudy until she became the Supreme Mother. Like, come on, Trudy, you were my favorite girl. Now you doing this number? Come on, you gotta somebody gotta talk some sense into this woman before I go across before I go in that screen and get and take out the guardian of my own dang on self, cause y'all can't keep doing my
Like,
girl like
Judy, why you
this.
do me like this?
Y'all and I mean, my mom used to laugh about it because she knew like I had a crush on Antonia and all of that. And when I would get upset, I'm like, "Come on, Trudy, you did what? Like, why y'all could have y'all did my girl dirty almost throughout the whole series. Come on, y'all could have at least y'all could have did her so much better at and everything. Y'all wrote her as a damsel in distress in a way. Come on, y'all did my girl so wrong."
Mm-hmm.
Can I just say, weirdly, there is a historical precedent for people like Candy being attracted to gladiators. Because in ancient Rome, gladiators' side hustle was to work as sex workers. I just wanted to put that out there.
Of course.
Yeah, Candy was great. I thought she was a fantastic
Yeah.
character that we only
Yeah.
get to meet for a very short time, but she did her part. I like the actress's choices. And then again, it works in both contexts. That's what I like about Candy. It works as on the surface you think she's just, this daffy girl who's attracted to Lex because of what he is at this point in time. He's popular in the city, he's a celebrity right now, and it's like it works on that surface that she's just attracted to that and she just wants a taste of that. And it also
Mm-hmm.
works when you later find out she's hired by Java to once again get rid of Lex, because then you go back and look at her behavior with him and you're like, yeah, I buy that too. You know what I mean? I think Candy was really well handled.
Can I say, if you like Candy, then the actress is the main love interest for Giles, who's the main character. Obviously, Jack, Michael. It's his main love interest on Atlantis High. That's the same actress.
Yeah, Sally Martin.
Of course it is, because there was so much overlap.
And I want to say Candy is the predecessor of Gale because both of them knew who Lex was. Both of them fell for Lex. But if it weren't for that, I think the same thing would have happened.
I think Candy actually
Yeah.
comes across as more intelligent though than Gel. Like where Gel was like she's actually fantasizing about
Yeah.
romance with Lex. It's very clear that Candy is just like, oh, I just want to hit it and quit it. Boy, I wouldn't want to keep you. Are you kidding me? You ain't worth all that. You know what I mean? I just want to taste
Right.
and then I'm out. You know what I mean? Like Candy really did come across as more clever and smart and, you know, she's like, yeah, I'll take the money and I'll have a little fun at the
Candy
same
was
time. And like, girl, respect the hustle.
Candy was pretty much a female Lex.
She was like, I'll take it. He easy on the eyes. Let's be an easy paycheck. Bring it.
Let's just say what it is.
No, absolutely not. Do what you got to do, Candy.
If I was in Candy's situation, go ahead, do what you gotta do, take the money and run. Just saying. Again, I see Candy as the female Lex. Lex probably would have did the exact same thing. Let's face it, Lex history of sleeping around with people. Let's face it, would have Candy was just a female Lex. Only different is at least she got paid for it.
I also like the way Candy revealed herself, which also works once you find out that Java hired her. Now, for some reason, I always remembered it as if she revealed herself sheepishly. I don't know if it's just from a screenshot that made it look like she was embarrassed to have been caught, realizing he has a girlfriend, all that stuff. And but seeing her boldly pulled, he's obviously hiding her. He doesn't want his girlfriend to see that he's got another woman there. But Candy makes her presence known because she has a job to do. The whole point of her being here is so that Lex gets, found out that he's messing around. And I really like that reveal because, again, in my head, since I'm not that familiar with the season, for some reason I always thought she had sheepishly been caught. Like, oh no, you know what I mean? I didn't know you had a girlfriend. And instead she boldly was like, do you mind? She wanted to, like, she was like, ah, yes, payday. Like this came sooner than I thought it would. I didn't know that, or maybe Java sent Siva, who knows? But I just like that it works together when you find out why Candy was even there, and that Lex got played. And it wasn't that hard to play him. I'll all Java had to do was use his personality against him, and and I was like, I like you. It was so nice to meet you, Candy. I hope you have a nice life. I do.
That brings Series 4, Episode 29 to a close. Thank you very much to the panel, and you can show your support by clicking on that like and subscribe and following us on all the major platforms. You can also leave us a comment or get in touch if you'd like to take part in a future episode of the podcast yourself. Just search for thetribe.co.uk or Conversations on Eagle Mountain. You can also throw us a donation. Just head on over to buymeacoffee.com/thetribe.co.uk. And we'll see you next time for episode 30. So until then, bye.
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 Bye. Bye.